Hello everyone. Today I'm bringing you a coconut cake recipe that I have made, and I just want you guys to watch this recipe and don't forget to like and subscribe. And also, every ingredient that has been used in this recipe is room temperature, so just keep that in mind when you're watching this video. Thank you. Bye bye. For this recipe, I used 1.5 sticks of unsalted room temperature butter, and I'm going to put that in a pot or any aluminum, or should I say stainless steel bowl you might have, or glass. The reason why I use glass or stainless steel is because it's easy to get the ingredients out of those material as opposed to if you use plastic. So to that, I'm going to add some brown sugar, 1 cup of brown sugar, and I'm going to cream that using an electric mixer until I get a smooth mixture. And then I'm going to add 3 eggs. I'm going to add 1 egg at a time, so everything mixes into the batter easily. So just 1 egg at a time. When an egg is completely mixed into the batter, you add in the other egg. And to this batter, I'm going to add in half a cup of condensed milk. I was just experimenting and I just wanted to play up on the texture of the cake. So I added in some condensed milk. I also added in, if you see later, some whole fat Greek yogurt. So this is plain whole fat Greek yogurt. I usually add it to my cakes, and the reason being, it adds a little bit of I don't know, it gives me the texture I want. So the texture I usually go for are like I want my cake to be soft and light and soft and a little bit dense, but not as dense as pound cake. Just, I don't like light cakes. I like it to have a little bit of density. So adding yogurt helps me achieve that texture that I want. And now I'm going to use some cake mix here. The reason being, I like the flavor that the cake mix usually adds to your cake. Of course, usually this is like the easy cake if you want to make it when you're in a hurry. But I use this as one of my ingredients when I'm making cake, because the cake mix has some flavors that I think I will not be able to make myself because I'm not that experienced at baking. But it has some unique flavors that I like to add in with my dry ingredients. So the cake mix, I add in some flour, I add in baking powder and baking soda. So that cake mix is used as part of the ingredients for my cake. I hope that makes sense. So I add in some baking soda because the baking soda makes the cake really light. It adds in some air bubbles to your pastry. So I mix that well, and I'm going to combine that with my wet ingredients. Since this is a coconut cake, I went ahead and added in some coconut flakes to the dry ingredients. And you can toast this coconut flakes if you wanted to. That is, you could take the dry flakes, put them in a pan and toast it until it's lightly brown before you add it to your flour. But I just chose to use the coconut flakes just like that, and I just added it in with my dry ingredients. And I'm going to go ahead and add the dry ingredients to my wet ingredients, and I'm going to mix well. As you can see, the pot I'm using is a bit small for this the amount of cake I'm making. So when you're making this, it depends on how much quantity you're making. So you can use the right size of use the right tools to make your cake. Since this is coconut cake, I use some coconut milk just to give it that coconut flavor. And the batter was still too thick, so I added in some evaporated milk. I love evaporated milk because it just gives your cake that unique flavor that I feel like it just makes it taste so good, and it gives it a really good flavor. So combining that milk with coconut milk just made this cake taste so good, and the texture was just heaven. Like it came out so well. But I did mix the flour a lot. You know that you're not supposed to over mix your flour because you don't want to overwork it because it becomes too elastic. But I had no choice because it was so much cake, so I just went ahead and used a mixer to mix it in for a few seconds. And as you can see, those little flaky things in the batter, that's the coconut flakes. So I just mixed it in, and I didn't want to throw away, or I didn't want the rest of the evaporated milk to go to waste, so I just poured it all into the cake. And as you will see later, the cake became too liquid for my liking, so I added in some plain all-purpose flour to give me back the texture I wanted. So this is just a little hack I do when I'm not quite getting the texture I want, and usually you will know what texture you're going for from experience. That's why I knew that I had to add some more flour. So I just added half a cup of flour to the batter and just work that in until everything just blends in with the batter. I also added some more baking soda because, like I said, the baking soda makes your cake very, very, very fluffy. It gives some air bubbles. So, in conjunction with the texture we've already made, the creaminess, and you add in some baking soda for some light, almost airiness. That gives you the perfect texture. So that's the batter, and this was able to make 2 cakes, one bigger than the other. So this is just a standard baking pan. I'm not sure the size. And then the other one was actually a glass pie crust pan. You'll see it later where I added in the remaining cake. And there was a lot of cake. So that's the final cake. So when I'm putting the final cake, when I put in the batter in the other baking sheet, I'm gonna go ahead and put it in the oven at 350 degrees Fahrenheit, and it took about an hour to bake because I wanted it to bake really just on medium heat, not too, because we have a lot of liquid in this cake, so I didn't want it to bake too quickly. So that's that. While the cake is baking, we're gonna go ahead and make some frosting or icing for our cake. I'm going to use Nutella flavored cream cheese frosting. So that is Nutella flavored cream cheese frosting. Gonna add my butter to my baking pan, which is the one I used for my cake. I already washed it. Added in 1 stick of butter and about the same size of cream cheese. You can use whatever frosting you want. You can just use cream cheese or you can just use a butter icing. But one thing you want to use is your powdered sugar and vanilla flavor, and of course I'm going to use some Nutella. So your basic frosting or icing is either you use butter or you use cream cheese, or you can choose to use both butter and cream cheese. You add in your flavor, your vanilla flavor, your powdered sugar. But since I'm making Nutella frosting, I'm going to add some Nutella, and I'm going to add it in the remaining condensed milk. The condensed milk is actually sweet already. So that's what I'm doing here. I'm gonna go ahead and toast some coconut flakes. This coconut flakes is not sweet, it's unsweetened coconut flakes. So I'm gonna toast that on medium heat until it's golden brown. And what's gonna happen is I'm going to put my frosting on my cake and then put my toasted coconut on the frosting of my cake, as you will see later. So I'm gonna add my frosting on top of my cake, as you can see. And I don't have the right ingredient the right tools for this, so I'm just using a spoon and a knife. So I put it on top of the cake and then I spread it over the cake with a knife. And then I'm just going to make sure the surface is completely covered. Pour some more frosting on top of the cake, and then push the frosting so it slides to the sides of the cake, just like that. And then I'm going to make sure the entire cake is completely covered with frosting, just like that. And make sure the toasted coconuts, before you put it on top of the cake, make sure the toasted coconuts is cooled to room temperature, because you don't want the cake to melt. So I just use I think that's an ingredient, that's a tool that came in with my cake piping kit. So I think I just use it to spread the icing the best way I could. So that's that. And then I'm going to put the toasted coconut all over the cake, just like that. And like I said, make sure that the coconut is cooled to room temperature so you don't begin melting the cake. It's quite messy, and I didn't have gloves when I was doing this, so you have to forgive me. I was the only one eating. I and my sister and my were the other ones going to eat the cake. So if you're making it for other people, I say you should use gloves. But yeah, that's what you do. It's quite messy, but it's kind of fun. So if you have kids, this will be like a good activity for them. Just make sure you guys use gloves, okay? So I'm going to cover the entire cake with the coconut flakes, And then when I'm done, I'm going to put the cake in the fridge until I'm gonna make sure everything sets. Make sure the icing is solid, and make sure the coconut sticks to it. So this is what it looks like. I really think the camera doesn't do it justice, but it tasted really good. The Nutella was just literal icing on top of the cake. So I hope you guys try this recipe, and if you do, don't hesitate to comment and tell me how it came out. Mine tasted, like I said, was really good. It was really, really light and just a little bit of density to it, and it was perfect. Thank you for watching, and please share the video, and don't forget to like and subscribe. Thank you. Bye bye.